Be episode 194 for you guys. Once my co-host join in, we'll go ahead and get today's episode started for you guys. What's up, Rob?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I have a new desk, so I'm like figuring out what's gonna work, like what setup's gonna work and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, Fred didn't answer.
No, I'll text him one more time. Let's see. Oh no.
Oh shit.
Let's say we on now. All right, we can wait a few minutes for him. I just retexted him though.
Okay.
Man, I know you're pretty upset from that game the other night too, just like me.
Yeah, it was just I just wanted it to be a more competitive game.
Yeah, now we have the most athletic game manager of them all, a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, I mean he's pretty good, but like his team is just fucking stacked.
Yeah,
His team is good.
that just goes to show that that's what you can do with a serious front office. You know, my Cowboys won't ever do anything like that. Put together a team like that.
Didn't y'all just sign another bum?
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing, man. Jerry's just signing checks that he can't cash, and
Offensive coordinator, what's his name?
I don't even know his name. I gotta get that down pat. But he's the offensive lineman coach from the Cardinals.
Okay.
So I still don't really know anything about him yet.
Yeah. Y'all getting a bunch of newbies. I don't know why, but I feel like that's something you should do with a rookie quarterback or something. Start fresh. But
Yeah, not with Dak.
paying Dak like a bajillion dollars.
Well, he's still in text back. We can go ahead and get started, Rob. I guess if he joins, he'll join.
Yeah. All right.
All right. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree from Onthehop Podcast. Today, this could be episode 194 for you guys. And today, I'm joined by my co-host, Rob Sarasulo. So we're going to be presenting episode 194 for you guys. And Fred Harris, our other co-host, comes in and joins in. He'll be a part of this episode too. But we'll go ahead and get started with the Super Bowl summary of the Philadelphia Eagles defeating the Chiefs, clobbering them 40-22 to win Super Bowl 59. Rob, what's your thoughts on that game from Sunday night?
A couple things. One, the Eagles are freaking stacked. Like I was just saying, best defense in the league, and obviously defense usually wins championships. You know the whole, catchphrase. But they were just such a good team from top to bottom. Hurts had all the weapons at his disposal. They were showing off all night. O-line is just a bunch of beasts. Paving the way for Hurts to kind of sit there and just take his time and go through his progressions. The run game wasn't as great as it was before, like in the other previous games in the playoffs, but that I feel like that was obviously a point of emphasis for the Chiefs, but they forgot to stop anything else. So Hurts he was picking them apart. I'm not gonna lie, but on defense especially, he was making Mahomes' life a living hell all night. Vic Fangio was just all over him. Pressure every snap, somebody in his face or something like that. From all over the line, just crazy. And that secondary, obviously, with those young rookies there, Cooper and Quinyon Mitchell. So, all in all, just a really good game from the Eagles, really bad game from the Chiefs. I feel like Pat Mahomes, all those weapons are kind of washed. He needs some unity, or not unity, some youth in that position. Tight end and receiver.
Yeah.
Honestly, they could use another running back too because Pacheco doesn't look like he used to. Maybe give him an off season, he might get back to form. But obviously, Kareem Hunt's probably done. That was just a 1-year deal for him. But that O line was just not helping him at all. Like he was just getting killed every play, and made him look like Sam Darnold out there when he was seeing ghosts. So, but yeah, I mean, just a terrible game, in my opinion. I don't think it was much fun to watch. It was just over by the first half. So disappointed in number 15.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought this was going to be a much better game and a better competitive game. But we were talking about this last week, Rob. We were talking about how the game could be won in the trenches because of how well the Eagles' defensive line really is. And like to your standpoint, they had the best defense in the National Football League, and Vic Fangio had the perfect game plan for Patrick Mahomes. Manny also said it too that he was 0-8 against Mahomes, but man, that 4-man rush, Patrick Mahomes could not adapt to that. And Patrick Mahomes looked very uncomfortable playing under pressure. It looked like a rookie out there running around in circles, like a ring around the rosy game at the playground. The man wasn't reading defenses well at all. I mean, someone with the football IQ and as great as Mahomes is, I thought if they're not blitzing you would eventually adapt to this 4-man rush. But he was sacked 6 times, had 2 key interceptions that looked pretty bad. The second one was right to the linebacker that was dropping back in coverage in the spy.
Yeah.
And that forced fumble that he had towards the end of the game in the second half. But Patrick Mahomes just looked terrible. But even though this is an offensive-driven league, it just shows, like you said, Rob, defense still wins championships. And that was a key ingredient for the Eagles. They didn't even need Saquon Barkley to win this game. He didn't even have a home run past 30, 40 yards like we seen in the playoffs. It was all defense all night long. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes had more interceptions than first downs in the first half is completely wild. I would have thought I'd see the day the man had a QBR of 1 in the
What?
first half. Yes, it was so. I still can't believe it. I really can't believe it. But yeah, and then your standpoint too of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts all playoffs long has just had to be good enough. Other than that Commanders game, I'll give him credit for that because he was airing it out and looked pretty good. When you look at the games against the Packers and the Rams, he really wasn't asked to do much because the defense was there and Saquon was there. But then he just outplayed Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. So that's another wild thing to say. And I think he did deserve Super Bowl MVP though. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the Chiefs do because it's like they like you said, they got to get younger at receiver because DeAndre Hopkins is,
Bum.
I think, washed at this point. He's not the same player. The other wide receivers, they got Juju Smith, and he's done. Sky Moore never developed into the player that we thought he could have with the potential that he has. All they really got is Xavier Worthy because if Travis Kelce retires too, they're definitely screwed at receiving options. So
Yeah. Rashee Rice is about to be suspended for a whole year, probably.
oh
So.
yeah, and I forgot about him. Yeah, suspended for a whole year after, and he's already hurt too. I completely forgot about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, once he finally comes back, him and Worthy could be really nice together. But they definitely need another guy. They definitely need a tight end. Kelsey, I feel like Kelsey's just like so slow now, and he's just not who he was before. He might retire too, so obviously if he does that, especially, you would want somebody to fill his shoes with how much they use the tight end in that offense.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. If they won, I definitely think he would have retired. It's still on the table for him because I don't know, he just seemed like he wasn't into the game. Like the enthusiasm, I felt like for his sake wasn't there all night long because he wasn't an X factor, and he could have taken advantage of some of these safeties and linebackers that were presented him in the matchups, but he could never get open. And that still goes to Vic Fangio's standpoint of how well he coached against that Andy Reid offense. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really feel like this masterclass performance by Vic Fangio deserves to be in the light of one of the best historic defensive performances in Super Bowl history. Um, all the way back in the 2000s, Rob. They were historic though, but put that in there, the Legion of Boom, what they did to the Broncos in 2014 as well, and then also what Kansas City, or what the Bucs did to Kansas City as well a few years ago, the pass rush against
Yep.
handle the pressure. So this defensive performance, like we just talked about, one first down, and more picks than first downs in the first half. You're doing something right, and I feel like even though the final score was 40-22, I felt like it should have been 40-6 because the Chiefs are putting up empty calorie stats and not really doing much when it mattered most.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do you think, Rob? You think they can run it back? I think that I hate to
The
say it
Eagles?
in our yeah. Do you think they can run
Yeah.
it back?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they have a really good freaking team, and nobody. I feel like everyone that's important is signed. I don't know who's a free agent. I would have to look into that. You know, I imagine that a lot of these younger guys, down the road in a couple years, are going to want to get paid hella money. But for now, I feel like they're good. Howie Roseman is probably. I think he's the best GM in football. I mean, he's just far and away hitting on every decision he's making. Like, I can't find a bad decision that he's made. It's pretty crazy. All these young guys that he's drafted that are already paying off, and the secondary, the D line, receiver as well. I mean, A.J. Brown with that trade, that was big time, obviously, a couple years ago. Devontae Smith, they just have weapons everywhere. Both sides of the ball have special talent. So, yeah, I think they definitely have a chance to run it back. They're the favorites at this point to do so. So, barring any injuries, I feel like they can definitely make another run for it.
Yeah, I think so too. It's scary to say. The whole entire NFL is just gonna. I think this offseason is gonna be really interesting for both AFC and NFC. But the Eagles, they're gonna be like the Boston Celtics out there in the NBA, bring back a lot of returning players to help them go back to back. So
Mm-hmm.
it's scary, but I really think they got a chance. And plus, they always draft well. Like even if they don't have to get big free agents. Even though there's a possibility they can with Howie Roseman, but I feel like they draft pretty well, especially getting Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean back-to-back picks last year. Yeah, they're so it's gonna be interesting, but I don't want them to. But one more question before we move on to the halftime thoughts. Do you think this performance by Patrick Mahomes hurts him in the GOAT conversation, being compared to Tom Brady?
Um, I think it does for now, but obviously he's still very young for quarterback. He's only 29 years old. I mean, he's already got 3 Super Bowl MVPs, 3 Super Bowl dubs. It would have been nice to have a fourth, but he's got all the time in the world. All you have to do is build around him. They can easily do that. They have the hardest part figured out, which is quarterback. So even if they fall off a little bit after this, retooling some of their skill positions and stuff, I feel like they'll be back for sure as well. Pat Mahomes is always going to be a threat no matter what for his whole career, and he's obviously probably got at least another 9-10 years. So
Yeah. Um, I think I don't think this game hurt his legacy. I still think he's the second greatest of all time behind Tom Brady.
yeah,
I feel like he's got to do some work, though. I mean, like you said, he already is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, but to catch Tom Brady, I feel like from here on out, he might have to be flawless in the Super Bowl because you look at the two losses that he suffered in the Super Bowl. They've both been blowouts to the Bucks and to the Eagles over the last few years, and Tom Brady has 3 Super Bowl losses, 2 to your Giants, and 1 time to the Eagles. But in those games, they were really close games, and they were decided with a pinch of luck, but also coming down to the last second with it being competitive most of the game. And the only time we've seen Tom Brady ever blown out in the Super Bowl was when he was down 28-3, and somehow, some way, rallied all the way back and had one of the greatest comebacks in sports history. But I
yeah,
don't think the conversation's over, but I feel like Patrick Mahomes, he has to be nearly flawless in the Super Bowl in order to catch Tom Brady. I mean, obviously maybe you have to get the rings, some more accolades, of course. But in terms of playing on the big stage, I don't think he could afford to be blown out again if you're going to try to catch Tom Brady in the GOAT conversation.
yeah, yeah. He's gonna need some. He's gonna need another MVP mixed in there. I think he'll need another what does Tom Brady have 7 rings?
Yeah.
So he needs four more, and he definitely has time to get it, like you said. So I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he gets 5. To be honest, with how good Andy Reid is, how good he is, you have 2 of the most important pieces of the puzzle, and you have 2 of the best people for those pieces. So I don't think they should stress it. They'll be back.
Yeah, I definitely think they will too. So quick side note before we move on, Rob, what was your thoughts of the Kendrick Lamar halftime performance? Did you think it was good performance, decent, bad? What was your thoughts on the halftime performance?
It was fire. Yeah, it was really good. I mean, the balls on Kendrick, man, that shit was crazy. Having Serena do the crit walk on him. Just the overall message that he was conveying. Having Donald Trump in the crowd. You know, it's just on the biggest stage in the world. Biggest sporting event in the world, one of them at least. It was just crazy, but it was really good. Drake is in shambles right now. I will tell you that right now. Played his diss on national TV for everybody to see, and his ex, 2 of his exes, SZA and
Yeah.
Serena, both his ex. Yeah, Drake probably real quiet when that was going on. I haven't heard from him in a while. So we'll see what his next album sounds like. Maybe it's some sad stuff. Who knows?
Yeah, he's got an album with Party Next Door coming out on Friday. So I think that'll be like an R&B thing.
Yeah.
Um, to be honest with you, I don't think the performance was bad. I think it was good. I don't think it was great. I think something was missing there. And I felt like, in terms of being creative, like you said, him sending a message to Trump and the way how he had the stage created and everything like that was good. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed in the selection of songs that he played. I was thinking we were
Yeah,
going to get the old Kendrick that made him like one of the top tier stars in the 2010s in the big three with Drake and J. Cole.
yeah,
I mean, we were missing Money Tree, All Right, Swimming Pools, Mad
yeah,
City. I was like, why did he go with the newer selection compared to the older? But um, I think the show picked up in the second half when he brought out SZA, but everybody knows the highlight of the show was him taking shots at Drake with the "Not Like Us." I thought it was kind of crazy that he smiled into the camera and said, "Hey Drake," like with the smile on his face, even though he's got the lawsuit going on with him. But I don't know. I felt like it was good, but I felt like it could have been better.
yeah,
Another standpoint, like you said, with him bringing Serena Williams crip walking was pretty wild, I should say. And then, like you said, having two of his exes there, I don't know. I felt like it could have been better. Um, just based off the hits that he had over the years, I felt like at times the performance kind of shadowed towards bringing it towards Drake. I felt like after the beef, it was unnecessary to do that because he already got him. But I felt like just missing some of the hits, it could have been better with that standpoint. But overall, I'll give it to him. It was a pretty good performance, but I think it could have been way better than what it was.
yeah. No, I agree. I was the one thing I was definitely missing was those oldies. That's what I listened to throughout high school. That was my favorite artist in high school. Um, so yeah, no, it would have been cool to hear that, but no, he still played some good songs, just not
Oh
the
yeah,
ones I was looking for.
yeah. Who would you like to see next year, though, Rob?
Travis,
I was about to say the same thing.
Travis Scott, that would be so heat. That would be nice. I would definitely be down for some Travis Scott. I know he was pushing that on X. I know I saw that.
Yeah, yeah. I think Travis would be a good selection for next year for sure. I definitely think he would be a good pick. I know Future is kind of different from what people like to listen to in the Super Bowl audience, but I think he would be a good candidate as well. So I think the NFL has some options for next year, but option number one should definitely be Travis Scott. He would have that thing turned for 12 to 15 minutes.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Um, so we're going to move on to the next segment, and we're going to talk about the NFL awards that were awarded last week before the Super Bowl game on Thursday night. We won't go over every MVP, or not every MVP, but every NFL award that was given. We'll just go over the highlighted ones. So, Rob, what's your thoughts? Do you think Lamar Jackson was snubbed of winning the MVP award this year?
Absolutely. I think, he definitely had far and away the better stats. At least in the regular season, he blew out Josh Allen. Now, I understand Josh Allen had, he was getting used to, having lesser skill, like being more like a point guard, so to speak, than
Yeah,
he's used to because he didn't have that bona fide number one in Stephon Diggs. He just had a bunch of basically number twos and threes. So he was getting used to that. And the defense wasn't fully healthy. But besides that, I mean, Lamar, I think, just had a cleaner season. You know, only like 4 picks in the regular season, almost 1,000 rushing yards, over 40. What was it? Over 40 touchdowns, right?
yeah.
Over 40 pass, or was it total or passing?
Passing,
Passing.
yeah, this was a really good year.
Yeah. Yeah, just an insane year for somebody not to get MVP. Like, he had one of the best regular seasons ever, and he didn't get it. It was basically just voter fatigue. They were tired of voting for Lamar, so they gave it to him. Same thing that happened with Embiid. They were tired of giving it to Jokic, so they gave it to Embiid. They're literally the same scenario. So yeah, I definitely think he got snubbed, and I know Ravens fans agree with me. You don't even have to ask.
Yeah, I think Lamar was snubbed here. I think the MV3 case was definitely something that was snubbed this NFL season because he was the better overall player between himself and Josh Allen. And
Yeah.
a lot of people over the years talked about Lamar Jackson being a passer, and this was his best passing year of his NFL career. I mean, he had a better completion percentage than Josh Allen, more total yards per game, more passing touchdowns, and a better passer rating over the year compared to Josh Allen. But to some of the NFL MVP voters, I can see where they're coming from for Josh Allen because Josh Allen he did way better with a lot less, going 13-4. I mean, I think him and somebody else on the offensive line were the only Pro Bowlers compared to Lamar Jackson, who had 9 Pro Bowlers this year. But I definitely think Lamar Jackson should have got this award. But I wish Fred was here for this next part because I feel like in a way this is kind of karma of what happened last year because Dak, whether you guys like Dak or not, I think he should have got MVP over Lamar Jackson last year because he had better stats and everything, better completion, more passing touchdowns, more total yardage. And the only thing that Lamar had over him was the record. Lamar had the number 1 seed in the AFC going 14-3, and Dak and the Cowboys went 12-5 that year with the 2nd seed. Um, I felt like Lamar started off slow in the first half of the year, but then he gained momentum in the second half of that year. But it seems like they give it to the best quarterback that has the best record. I feel like that's what the trend is. And this year I felt like that's one of the reasons too, because Josh Allen was 13-4 and Lamar and the Ravens were 12-5. So I feel like they got to do a better job at that. But I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Saquon overall did get the MVP too because of how
Yeah.
explosive he was all year. 2,000 rushing yards. That doesn't come quite often nowadays in the NFL.
No, yeah, I agree. He was definitely in the running for it. I mean, we knew he wasn't going to get it, but it wouldn't have been a huge surprise if he did get it because he was that good.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's hard if anybody ever gets it ever again. That's not a quarterback. You're gonna have to have like maybe an historic season like Adrian Peterson did when he came back from that torn ACL. When he won MVP in 2012. I think somebody could do that. I feel like if Saquon if he broke the rushing record, I felt like you probably would have had to give it to him based off of the year that he had. But the Eagles sat him out the final game against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow also, if the Bengals were just a little bit better and only lost like 5 games, he definitely would have been in the conversation too. Well, he was a finalist, but definitely could have had a legit chance to win with the stats that he were putting up this year.
Yeah, no doubt. He was definitely electric. Too bad his defense was trash. Him and Jamar were just going crazy together, and they'll be in the mix, I think. Once they add some pieces on defense, they'll be back in the mix. They're not done.
Yeah, I agree with that too. They also got to re-sign T. Higgins. Hopefully, I love seeing the 3 of them play together. I hope they
Yeah,
do re-sign T.
no,
Higgins, but if they
that
don't,
is that is a nasty receiver duo. I think that's like one of the best in football. Outside of damn, there's a lot of good duos this year. I think one other good duo that comes to mind would be Cooper and Puka.
oh
That's a really,
yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. That's one of the best duos. I think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. That's probably one of the best. Probably, if not the best, one of the best. But yeah, no, they'll be back.
yeah, I agree with that. What's your thoughts on Kevin O'Connell winning Coach of the Year?
Kevin O'Connell. I guess it's a regular season reward. But I don't think anyone thought that the the Vikings would be that good during the regular season, especially with Sam Darnold. He turned him into a hell of a player. I'm surprised that. I mean, I know Joe Burrow Joe Burrow won comeback player of the year, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I feel like Sam Darnold was most likely a candidate, I assume. I'm surprised that he didn't win it, honestly. Going from because we all knew Joe Burrow was elite, and obviously he had an amazing season. But
yeah,
Sam Darnold went from like a trash can, like he was a castaway, on the 49ers bench before that, and now he put up a very good season. So just a very, very good season, regular season for that team. Unfortunately, they fizzled out in the playoffs, but it is what it is. I feel like with, as good as Sam Darnold was, I feel like with a better, like, younger quarterback, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Um, two things of that. I feel like Joe Burrow won that award before. Now he's that's actually kind of crazy that he's a two-time comeback player of the year before winning an MVP.
Yeah.
I felt like that should have went to Sam based off of a player that was basically down to a lot of people down and out because we viewed him as a backup from being a bust with the Jets and not working out as a starter with the Panthers. And then we viewed him as a backup, a good quality backup for the rest of his career. But he turned around and helped the Vikings go 13-4 this year, so I thought he should have got him. But I think Aiden O'Connell definitely deserved to win Coach of the Year. There were two coaches that had better records than him that went 15-2, Andy Reid and Dan Campbell. But the way how Kevin O'Connell coached this team, he definitely deserved to win it. Because like you said, Rob, they weren't really projected to go anywhere. They were actually projected to only win 6 games this year, especially after the injury with J.J. McCarthy and all the other injuries that they were dealing with during training
Yeah.
camp before the season. So to go 14-3 was actually really good to see. And I feel like his style of coaching, especially being an offensive minded guy, the way how he turned around Sam Darnold, like you said, even if they don't go re-sign Sam Darnold this offseason, they turn around and J.J. McCarthy or whatever happens next at that position, I think they'll be just fine based off of Kevin O'Connell and how good he is offensively, coaching wise. But one thing I will say about him, he's got to stop choking in the wild card. The teams
Yeah.
that they should be, like a few years ago, y'all beat them in the wild card game. Daniel Jones outplayed Kirk Cousins in a playoff game, and then this year they got spanked by the Rams. I'm like, what is going? Like, it feels like I really think he's a phenomenal coach, but he's got to get over the hump in terms of winning wild card games that you definitely should win. He's got to do a better job at that for the postseason. But I definitely think he has a bright future, and he deserves to win this award.
Yeah, 100%.
And last one on awards before we move on. What's your thoughts on Patrick Surtain winning Defensive Player of the Year?
Oh man, he deserved it too. I mean, he was just locking down receivers all year long. Just didn't want to throw his way. I mean, who else was in the running for it?
There was a pass rushers. Trey Hendrickson, is that the pass rusher for the Bengals?
Yeah, Trey Hendrickson. Yeah.
Yeah, him. Somebody else was in the. I think T.J. Watt was in the running too. I think it was mainly pass rushers. And what's that safety from the Lions? Kirby. He had like 9 interceptions. I think. Yeah, he led the league in interception. He might have been in the running. I'm not sure, but
Yeah. I mean, I think the right guy got it. I mean, he was a feared corner around the league. Like, literally, like if you had a number one if you had anyone at all in fantasy playing the Broncos, you were scared because you were scared that that person was going to get like one catch for 12 yards or 2 catches for 18 yards or something stupid like that. It's just every game in and game out, locking up like the best of the best talent, and I think he definitely deserved it, and he's definitely a special player.
Yeah. I definitely think that Patrick Surtain deserved this year. Like you said, that was actually one of the bright spots for the Broncos this year. Another team that wasn't projected to go very far but ended up in the playoffs is one of the big reasons why is because of their defense. But they don't make shutdown corners like this anymore in Patrick Surtain. I mean, he's obviously the best cornerback in the league, and they don't make them like him anymore. And just to say to go back to what you said, Rob, I have in the notes here, for him being a lockdown corner and quarterbacks not wanting to throw his way, he held some top-tier names like Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf, a combined total of 6 catches for 56 yards combined. And then he only gave up 306 receiving yards this year. to add on to 100 plus receiving yards after he's gotten interceptions and interception yards. So that man has been elite. And I remember the draft a few years ago. I know the Cowboys got Micah Parsons that year, and I'm still not mad about it. But if anybody got their hands on Patrick Surtain that night, you would have got a generational player. And I think he's a generational talent
Yeah,
based off of what he's done in the NFL so far.
yeah, he's definitely disgusting. And how many yards exactly did he allow? 300?
306 receiving yards all year long.
Bruh, what the hell?
That's crazy.
That's like under 15 yards. Like, whoa, hold on. What's 30? Whatever 30 divided by 18 is, that's like a crazy number per game.
Yeah.
300 divided by 18. I'm sorry. Wow. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
That's like
he's
under
a lockdown
yards,
guy.
under like 25 yards a game. That's crazy.
And sometimes, I know regardless when he does follow, some defensive schemes now, they don't have your number one corner follow the number one wide receiver. It's a lot of schemes in the NFL is kind of like, okay, if my corner, I want you to stay on this side. If the wide receiver comes over, then you got him. But in the opportunities that like he was shutting down these top guys, especially against Jamar Chase when the Bengals played the Broncos towards the end of the season. It was basically Joe Burrow had to find a way to win that game without Jamar Chase. I mean, he was in the game, but he was getting locked down.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's definitely a generational talent for sure.
Yes, 100%.
But we'll move on to the next segment. Rob, would you rather win a Super Bowl ring as a star player or win your own individual MVP award? Now, I got this segment from watching First Take a few weeks ago when Cam Newton was on there and they asked him the question. He said he'd rather have his own individual MVP award rather than winning a Super Bowl ring. What do you think about that? Would you rather have a ring or an individual MVP award?
If I'm the quarterback, personally, I want that Super Bowl. That means more to your legacy, in my opinion, than MVP does. I mean, like, if you have a Super Bowl ring, no one's going to question it. No matter how good or bad you were in the regular season, you were a Super Bowl champion. You and all your brothers wear that same ring till you die. It's something that you'll remember forever. Not that an MVP is memorable or anything, but if you got all these MVPs and you don't have any team success to show for it, then there's always going to be that lingering question, that lingering elephant in the room, I think. Like I said, no one's going to question a Super Bowl ring, but they are going to question an MVP without a Super Bowl ring. People like Dan Marino, he was a generational quarterback, but it's always a what if type of question since he didn't even win a ring. So yeah, I mean, personally, I'm a pretty team first, selfless guy when it comes to that sort of thing. So I would want a Super Bowl, and it would be something to celebrate with me and everyone close to me versus an MVP. It's just your reward. Like your teammates will congratulate you, but it's not like a you know what I mean. It's not a camaraderie builder or anything like that.
Yeah, I would definitely have a Super Bowl ring over MVP award. And I can't believe Cam Newton even said that. The fact that there are several Hall of Fame players that have never won an NFL Super Bowl before, and they won MVPs. There's a list of players that are active or have yet to win a Super Bowl ring as an MVP. Like you said, Dan Marino comes to mind, Adrian Peterson comes to mind, Barry Sanders comes to mind, Lamar Jackson, modern day comes to mind. And then also the fact that Cam Newton was a part of a 15-win team and could have gotten a flavor of both, a best of both worlds back in 2015 or 2016. And I feel like you said, I'd rather win a ring because when you're growing up and you have a chance to go to the NFL playing the game of football, that's what everybody dreams of. If you're good enough to get to college football, if you're good enough to get past there and go to the NFL, you definitely want a Super Bowl. And I'd rather have, if you're a star player on any NFL franchise and you can go get a Super Bowl ring, I'd rather get the ring. And if you play out, you ball out, have the best game of your life in the Super Bowl, I'd rather have the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP over the MVP, because the MVP, yes, you got it. That's an individual stat, but a Super Bowl MVP, you did. That means you won. You did the job that everybody set before the season started, and then you were the best player in the Super Bowl for that individual game that you've been dreaming of your whole life, and you get that moment. So I would definitely take a ring over an NFL MVP award any day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind for that. I'm 10 times out of 10. I'm taking the rings for sure.
I
Like
also
I'd
feel
rather
like,
be. Go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say, I also feel like Cam Newton said that based off of his ego. I love
Probably.
Cam Newton though, but I feel like
Probably.
his ego got the best of him.
Yeah, because they folded when they won 15 games. They got blown out.
Yeah, that.
So
Oh yeah, I should have put that in the Super Bowl thing when I was talking about defenses too. How they strapped up the Panthers that Super Bowl. The Broncos defense did. Had Cam Newton know where to go. Yeah, definitely. I feel like that was something I wanted to talk about because I was sitting there watching it. I was like, how can you say you'd rather have your own individual MVP over a Super Bowl ring? I just couldn't believe he said that. But
yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy.
So we're gonna move on to the final segment. So we'll be sharing our thoughts on the latest NFL news as we are entering the off-season period. So this one just happened a few hours ago, Rob. Kellen Moore becoming the new Saints head coach. What's your thoughts on Kellen Moore becoming the new Saints head coach?
Oh man, I mean that's definitely a good hire for them. He's Kellen Moore's seen success. He's definitely a good coordinator. We'll see how he does in the next step. Sometimes it doesn't work out when you transition from offensive coordinator to head coach, but we'll see how he leads the group of men that is the Saints. They have some work to do over there. I think they need a quarterback.
Oh yes.
Derek Carr is average at best at this point. Spencer Rattler is definitely nothing special. They're in cap hell right now, so it's going to take a little bit. But all in all, I think it's a pretty good hire. It's probably one of the better hires on the offseason for head coaches. So I definitely think that's a good one.
Yeah, I like the fact that Kellen Moore got his opportunity to be a head coach. I know he's done a lot of great things as the former offensive coordinator for the Cowboys and his time with the Eagles this year. I don't think I would have taken this job though, because like you said, there's a lot to clean up with the Saints team. I mean, they got to get a quarterback, like you said, Derek Carr. I don't think he is good enough to be someone that can lead your franchise to Super Bowls at this particular point of his career. Spencer Rattler is horrible. Yeah, they got to get a quarterback, and then like you said, they're in a bad situation in cap space, but a lot of messy contracts of veteran players on this
Yeah.
roster. I would have ran it back with the Eagles one more time to try to go back to back as the offensive coordinator. And you would have been back in an offense that still had Jalen Hurts, Saquon, A.J. Brown, and several others. And, yeah, I think I would have passed on this job. But he's done a good job as a play caller. He's growing on me again. Just helped Saquon get 2,000 rushing yards this year. He had a lot of creative run schemes when you look at his job that he did on film, and
Yeah.
also for the Dallas Cowboys, he was a part of the Cowboys offense play calling wise. That when we were lighting up the scoreboard, leading points per, we were leading the league in points per game over the years. This is a guy that I think has a lot of potential, but for a job like the Saints, I hope they don't get rid of him or give up on him too quickly, because the potential is there. But I like the fact that he got an opportunity, but I hate the fact that he took one of the worst jobs that could have been happened. But I do agree with you. This is one of the best head coaching hires this offseason.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on the sticking around part for another year. I mean, he would have definitely enjoyed it. They would have took good care of him if he stayed around. I guarantee it. I bet you Nick Sirianni's going to miss him.
Yeah.
Given the fact that personally, I think he's a terrible head coach. He just has a great system, team, personnel, etc. around him to make him look good. But yeah, Kellen Moore better soak it up while it lasts this year because he's got his work cut out for him for sure. So we'll see how it goes. They'll need some pieces. They'll need some, to shed some contracts. They'll need to hit on quite a bit of draft picks. So, we'll see what happens with them. That's it's an interesting situation, but I think we could see. I don't think we've seen their rock bottom yet. I think it's still coming. I think they're on their way there, but then I
Oh
think
yeah.
then they have a chance to rebound once they get some more young pieces in there and kind of get past all these dead contracts that they got.
Yeah. Yeah. Next news is something that's coming from the Cowboys, which caught my eye. Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know if this is Jerry Jones trolling the Cowboys in somewhat of the media. Micah Parsons being a part of the trade rumors. What do you think the Cowboys should do? Should they pay him the contract, Rob, or think about options to ship him out of Dallas?
Man, I don't know that. I mean, that I don't think they should trade him at all. I think that would be stupid. Personally, I mean, he's a generational talent. Yeah, Now I know he might lack focus sometimes with his podcast and getting
Yeah.
too wrapped up in social media and all that. That can easily be cleaned up. That's not really a problem. They just have to he needs to be disciplined a little bit. I feel like, but um, as far as trading someone like that, I do not think that's a good idea at all. I mean, especially with the way the Cowboys are trending, you need people like that in the building. So,
Yeah.
personally, I definitely don't think they should even entertain the question of should. I mean, obviously, if he's trying to force his way out, you really do. You can fight for it, but ultimately, he doesn't want to be there. But I don't think he wants to leave, to my knowledge. At least I haven't seen anything indicating that. So I feel like if there is any drama, it should blow over, and hopefully they'll get to keep their guy.
Yeah. Yeah. If we traded Micah Parsons this offseason, I think that might do it for me as a Cowboys fan because I've been through so much already and the offseason really hasn't even begun. I've already had to put up with Brian Schottenheimer being the new head coach, then Matt Eberflus being the defensive coordinator now. But no, I don't think the Cowboys should trade him because he's so damn talented. He's got the speed. He's a game changer. And he might not always rack up the sacks in the stat category, but he's a player that can be an X factor on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, he makes an impact for being double teamed a lot at times in the trenches. He does a great job in creating pressures and getting to the quarterback after the quarterback throws the ball, or putting the pressure on him to make mistakes in the pocket. But defenses fear Micah Parsons. You got to game plan correctly for him, and that's what makes him a special player. And when he puts it all together, when his mind is focused, when the team is winning, and he's not spending so much time on the podcast or on social media, like you said, that's when you get the best out of him. But I wouldn't understand if we would trade him because Jerry Jones was bold enough to give Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb a combined over $300 million last year. So I think it'd be smart for us to give Micah Parsons the money he wants and for him to stay because that's a player you can't afford to lose.
No, not at all.
And I think well, out in Dallas, it would definitely be some vibes, not of Luka, not as high as Luka, but a lot of disrupted people for sure in the Cowboys standpoint. Um, Next is Aaron Rodgers. It seems like the Jets are moving on from Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is either going to find a new team this offseason or he's going to retire. What's your thoughts on the Jets moving away from Aaron Rodgers?
Man, I think that ship has sailed for the most part. I mean, they had a horrible season. I feel like Rodgers personally doesn't want to be there. I think they should just start fresh at the quarterback position. They have talent, everywhere. Honestly, they have really good talent. So for them to do that bad, I don't see why they did so bad. But there is some things they can fix. I feel like Brees Hall didn't have as great of a year as I thought. I feel like bringing in Adams should have made that an unstoppable wide receiver duo. It just didn't quite pan. I mean, there was flashes. They had some games that, either one of them looked dominant, but I feel like you can get more out of that offense, 100%. That defense, they have some special talent, you know. So I think you should just move on from Rodgers, just cut ties, just find your next guy because I don't think he really has much in the tank, if at all, at this point.
Yeah, I think this is the right move for the Jets to move off of Rodgers. I feel like he should retire, and I feel like we've talked about several times. I have Aaron Rodgers top five all time in terms of best quarterbacks in NFL history. He has one of the best arms that I've ever seen. 100% has great ball placement skills of getting the ball where it needs to be to receivers. But I feel like there's nobody that he blew this opportunity with the Jets because there was everything he needed. There was talent on both sides of the ball. You have Brees Hall that has a lot of potential running back. Like you said, Devontae Smith and Garrett Wilson should have been a great 1-2 punch at wide receiver. The defense is still pretty good. I felt like he tried to control the Jets in a way how you see NBA players control their franchises, which you cannot do in
Yeah,
the NFL. It does not work.
yeah,
So he ran Robert Saleh out of town, and when he did that, the defense just collapsed and everything just fell apart. So I feel like there's no mending the relationship. Even the fact that they're bringing in Aaron Glenn to New York, I feel like that still doesn't mend the mess that Aaron Rodgers created. So they gotta cut ties with him. But I just don't see him elevating any other NFL team. I mean, could you put him on the Giants?
no,
No, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want that. The Steelers, what's the upgrade? It's like a little better version of Russell Wilson that you're getting at this point. I don't see him joining the Steelers. The only team that I could see he could elevate possibly at this point of his career with the torn Achilles and he can't move around the pocket well, maybe the Vikings. That's a maybe if they don't go after Sam Darnold or they're not ready to put J.J. McCarthy in position, they rather run it with Aaron Rodgers. That would be the only team I could see him elevating at this point of his career. And if he were to go to the Vikings, that would mean he officially followed every step that Brett Favre did in his career. Packers, Jets, and then Vikings. But I don't know. I feel like Rodgers should retire for sure.
yeah. I think it's time to hang it up. Get back on the ayahuasca and get back on
Oh,
them,
um,
back on them shrooms and stuff.
yeah, he used to be popping them before games. Last one before we wrap it up. What's your thoughts on Deebo Samuel requesting a trade from the San Francisco 49ers and the 49ers allowing him to seek options via trades?
I mean, it's pretty interesting because I feel like with Ayuk being hurt, um, obviously he's going to be hurt for some time.
Oh, Rob Ruffle. Can you hear me, Rob?
Yep. Hello?
Oh, now I can hear you. Now I can hear
Okay.
you. I couldn't hear you for a second.
Okay. I'm not sure how much you guys heard, but I feel like personally, if I was Debo, I would stick around a little more. They still have a great team. Brock Purdy is a pretty good. And he would be the alpha guy while Brandon Ayuk is still hurt to start the year. So He has a chance to really up his value. I feel like this past year he didn't do much to help him. He's hurt a lot. I feel like he needs to just stay healthy for a year, and but if he did end up getting traded, I mean, there are some teams that would definitely like his services. So it's not like he would be wasted somewhere.
Yeah. I find it funny that it's like a growing theme of the top wide receivers wanting out of San Francisco. Last year, you saw Brandon Ayuk wanting to trade. Now Debo wants to trade. I feel like the 49ers should have moved on from Debo a long time ago. I felt like other than that 2021 year where he had that career-defining year where he was a wide receiver and a running back, he was a gadget player in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I feel like those days are gone, and he's not a dynamic route runner. He never really was a dynamic route runner. He's not really a difference maker on the offensive side of the ball like he once was in 2021. But ever since they got Christian McCaffrey, he was no longer the vocal point of the offense, and he really wasn't like somebody that can elevate the offense at that point. So I feel like Debo Samuel, he's not worth the money that the 49ers were giving him. And I feel like even with the injuries that the 49ers had, especially on the offensive side of the ball, when Brandon Ayuk went down for the year and all the other injuries that they had, he didn't even have over 700 yards receiving and didn't elevate the offense or didn't really put them in a position to do better offensively. I feel like Debo is just, I'm not going to say he reached his peak, but I think he reached his ceiling in Kyle Shanahan's offense. So I think maybe he could be an X factor somewhere else. Someone like the Steelers could really benefit having a Debo, or maybe the Ravens. They really don't need him. There could be somewhere. The Commanders come to mind too. There could be some places that Debo could go, but I think his time with the 49ers is up, and I feel like they could get better production elsewhere from the people that's in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I that when you put it like that, no, I definitely agree. I mean, he really hasn't been elevating nothing lately, and I feel like it might be nice for him to get that fresh start. You made a good point. My view kind of changed now that you brought up McCaffrey. I mean, that makes total sense. Because McCaffrey is basically a receiver at running back. So um,
Yeah.
Debo's Debo's biggest impact is nullified with him there. So perhaps somebody with subpar running back play or something like that, or somebody that just needs a weapon in general to kind of exploit him a little bit more.
Yeah, it'll be it'll be interesting to see where he goes this offseason, but I feel like it's a wrap
Mhm.
for him in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna go ahead and
yeah.
wrap this episode up. That's all the time we have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host Thomas Tyree and Rob Sarasulo signing off. Thank you guys for watching and listening. We'll see you guys on next week's episode.
Peace.
All right, peace, Rob.